countdown or anything?
Yes.
I get like 18 inches of a queen size bed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
like hanging out to the edge.
And we're live, Mr. Chairman.
We're live? Okay. All right, welcome, everybody. This is the Painesville Township Board of Zoning Appeals. We're going to call this hearing to order. But before we start, I'd like those who would like to stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. That's how we open our meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Rachel, would you please call the roll of the board members?
Okay, Dave Anzera,
Present.
Dave Lindros,
Here.
Ken,
Here.
Randy Van Buren, who is not here, and Chairman.
Thank you. Let the record show that 4 of the 5 members are in attendance. Let these people sign in, then we'll have our legal counsel explain why he would ask anybody speaking to be sworn this evening. Look what I remembered to bring. First of all, has everyone in attendance signed in? Anyone has not signed in? Okay, Jeremy, at this time, if you would explain why you need to swear, and go ahead.
Sure.
Proceed.
Thank you very much, Chairman. So tonight we'll be swearing everybody in, and we are going to do it all at once. So anybody who's going to be testifying for or against any of the cases that we have before us will need to be sworn in. And the reason we do the swearing in, this is a semi-judicial proceeding, an administrative hearing, and the results of this hearing can be appealed by either party. If somebody objects to it and it gets passed, it could be appealed and vice versa. And for that reason, we need to have a good, clean record, make sure that everybody is under oath for that record. If it does get appealed to Common Pleas Court after a decision is made, then the Common Pleas Court will make a decision based solely on that record that is created tonight. For that reason, we need to swear anybody in. So, anybody who will be testifying for or against any of the cases tonight, we'll just do it all at once for expedience sake. Anybody who's testifying for or against any of the cases, if I could have you stand and raise your right hand. If you're not testifying, if you're just here watching, you can stay seated. Raise your right hand, and I'll just need you to answer the question that I ask. Do you all swear that everything you testify to tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Okay,
Ready
thank
to
you.
go, Mr. Chairman.
All right, at this time, we'll look at case BZA 13. So Rachel, would you please read the application?
Applicant Deborah Miller submitted an agricultural conditional use application for property located at 1140 Masson Avenue. The request is to allow the continued husbandry of 8 chickens on a .41 acre property with coop space of 32 square feet and run space of no smaller than 8 foot by 10 foot, surrounded by either a 6-foot privacy fence or a 6-foot chain link fence with privacy slats installed.
Okay, if I know error in our zoning inspector requiring a conditional use permit for this application, is there's someone here to speak in favor of the request? Yes, ma'am. If you would just stand and state your name.
Deborah Miller. I'm for the 6-foot fence and all that, but the privacy fence on the side that is Nelmar, because the chickens don't free range. They don't, I mean, they've been out maybe 3 times since we got them. We've had them over a year. And the side of Nelmar, I mean, I would fence that in with a, privacy fence, but the rest of it, I don't think would need to have the privacy fence.
Are you talking of a different fence, but not a private?
No, I'm talking just a fence, but not the privacy on the side that faces Nelmar.
So you're talking on your neighbor's side, the back, and
No, I don't have anybody on the side, just the road.
No, I know that, but on the other side.
Yeah, that would be fenced in as well,
Okay.
but not with a privacy.
What about the back and access to the front? You don't want them running out on Madison.
Well, they're behind the garage, so.
I saw them, and they were in a little cage last night behind the garage. They were
Yeah.
pretty cute.
Yeah, that's where they go play. And, you know, I kind of, I don't know, they need 14 to 16 hours of daylight to continue to lay eggs. I give the eggs away, I don't sell them, I'm not making a profit. I just think that enclosing it all the way with a privacy fence is gonna take that daylight away from them, because I would, of course, have to have a tarp over it for shade, a sunshade.
Okay. Anyone else to speak in favor? Anyone to speak against? Questions from the board?
Yeah, can you, it's not clear to me reading the document, what, so are you proposing to have 2 chicken coops and 2 runways?
No, it would be, I have 2 chicken coops, and then
Right.
we would just encase both of those.
Okay,
But to put the privacy fence along the side that's now marked,
right, I understand.
and then across the back and up the
Yeah.
other side, I feel that's taking their daylight away. I would still have that fenced in, but not those 2 sides, front and rear,
Okay.
won't be privacy.
How many chickens?
There's 8.
Do you intend to have more than 8?
No,
Okay, and how many chickens per coop? 4?
there's 6 in one and 2 in the other, but we're trying to put some more of the 6 into the 2, but they're not getting along right now. So right now,
You're gonna have a little problem, are they?
just a little bit, yeah.
No roosters? Roosters? Do you have any roosters?
No,
How long have you had those there?
over a year, when my sister passed away and my ex-husband passed away, my niece passed away, we found a chicken, and we went to go get a playmate, and the state of Ohio says you need to buy 6. So that's how we ended up with 6.
Okay.
And 2 were given to me because the lady had to move, and she could not take them with her. She was going into Lakewood.
Just curious, why 6 with the state of Ohio?
That's just, we went out to family farm and home in Madison, and we were intending just to buy 1. And they said, you can't buy 1, you have, the state of Ohio recommends you buy 6.
All about those sales.
So I was kind of stuck, either this one's not gonna have a playmate, or, you know,
So have you had any issues at all?
no. Mm-mm.
None?
The
And you have
guy
the,
behind me said he doesn't care, and the guy next door said he doesn't care if I have chickens, because they don't free range. I mean, they're not crapping in everybody's yard, but
you said between the 2 coops, you've got some kind of fence around?
I have like a, it's like a 4x4 play yard that we let them into play.
Is
And
that
then I
where they
also
pretty
have
much are?
another- No, because I wasn't gonna invest in something that I wasn't maybe gonna be able to keep.
So are you planning on any more containment, or is it just,
The whole back of the garage will be contained, and that'll be for the chickens for the play yard. Their coop will be inside that.
so they're not gonna be outside of that?
No, they haven't been. Like I said, 3 times maybe when we first got them, they were in the yard.
Okay.
And that's, my son wanted them in the yard because they eat the bugs and dig for worms in the grass and whatnot,
Mhm.
so,
And the ticks?
I'm sorry.
And the ticks?
Yeah, and it did. Any bad neighbors? No, just kidding.
I'm a little confused. You say there's part of it you don't want to put a privacy fence?
The part on the side of my yard butts up against Nelmar.
Right.
So in order, I would put a privacy fence there so it's not bothering anybody.
Because your request is saying that you would like a chain link fence with privacy slats installed. That's what you're asking.
No, I don't even know what the slats are.
Okay.
I was either gonna go with a total privacy fence or a chain link fence, but then they said I had to have the, you know, privacy, it had to be a privacy fence or whatever. And the only way I would really need that is the people on Melmar that live on the side street.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions? Would someone like to make a motion, please?
I'll make the motion to approve BZA 2022-0013, BZA.
I'll second.
Well, you gotta set some conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, conditions being, I mean, so okay, you're requesting to put a privacy fence along your neighbors
Along Melmar.
Along Nelmar.
Yeah.
along Nelmar.
Neither one, my back neighbor and my side neighbor don't care.
Okay, so just along Nelmar there?
Yeah, so,
Do you see any other conditions that?
Well, 8 chickens, do you intend to have any more?
chickens?
Yeah.
No,
Okay, so maximum of 8 chickens, no roosters?
no.
That should be in there.
Okay, maximum of 8 chickens and a privacy fence along Nelmar,
And no roosters.
and no roosters.
Got it.
What about a time? 5 year? 5 years is our standard for a conditional use permit. You okay with that?
It's a 5-year.
All right, Rachel, can you read that back, please, so everyone's clear on it?
Okay, so a maximum of 8 chickens, no roosters. Privacy fence on Nelmar, did I get that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and then a 5-year term.
correct.
And then I would have to come back and get another permit if they were all still living.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's a lot easier than what you just did. Sometimes you can just submit paperwork, you don't even have to come, right?
Yeah, you don't need to attend, and it's a $100 fee for renewal.
Okay. All right, motion's been made. Someone like to second it?
Yeah, I'll second that.
All right, Rachel, would you call the roll, please?
Okay, Dave and Zara?
Yes.
Randy's not here, okay. Ken?
Yes.
Dave Windros?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay, or you can leave, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, next, Rachel, if you could read the request for BZA 14, number 2022 BZA 14.
Applicants Jeffrey D. and Karen M. Morgan submitted a variance application for property located at 809 Park Road. The request is to allow the modification of 128 lineal feet of pre-existing 6-foot-tall wooden privacy fencing. The modification involves adding an additional 128 lineal feet of 2-foot-tall wooden privacy fencing to the top of the existing 6-foot privacy fence, creating a fence that is 8 foot in height and irregular in appearance in violation of section 6.14B3, which requires that no fence in the R1 zoning district shall exceed 6 foot in height, and in violation of section 6.14G, which requires that the finished or flat side of the fence face the adjoining property, and that no fence installed should be irregular in shape or design. Challenge.
Okay, again, I find no error in our zoning inspector requiring a variance for these 2 items. Is there someone here to speak in favor of the request?
Yes, Jeff Morgan. I've lived at 809 Park Road for 28 years. I've maintained a 6-foot privacy fence around my backyard, and my neighbor to the north has, his property's graded about 2 feet taller than mine, and so his above ground pool.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, sir. If you could approach the podium, just because for her minutes, for the sake of her
Okay.
taking minutes, she
Sure.
needs to
Can
be
you
able
stand
to
right
look
here?
at the recording. Yes, please,
Okay.
thank you.
So, again, I have a 6-foot privacy fence that I've been maintaining. And my neighbor's property immediately to the north is graded about 2 feet taller than mine. And so his above-ground pool, which he has a pool deck around, puts that pool deck right at the height of my 6-foot tall privacy fence. which, as you would assume, is when they're on their deck, around their pool, provides no privacy for me. So I have a 6-foot privacy fence that is kind of rendered useless by where their deck to their pool is. And so what I'm asking for is relief, allow me to have my 2-foot addition on top of my 6-foot fence.
Okay, any questions for the applicant? You've already installed that, haven't you?
Yes, sir. I installed that in March, and then I got a notification from Sean, can't remember his last name. Said, hey, you got to apply for a variance. You probably didn't know that, which I didn't. And so I came in and applied for the zoning permit and variance right after.
So you're looking to just keep what you have?
Yes.
And not add on more?
That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? All right, thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor of the request? Anyone to speak against the request? We do have a letter on file. I think everyone has a copy of it from Lisa Miller. Said that she believes it's an eyesore for the neighborhood. She said it would be a huge eyesore for the neighborhood. So does she know it's there?
I don't even know how she would see that. She lives directly across the street from me.
Yeah.
I've never seen her in my neighbor's property.
Okay. You and your neighbor get along?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
We just, last year we talked about the need to increase the privacy between us, and he suggested I build a solar fence. I just talked to him 2 weeks ago, he said it looked good.
He said it looked good?
Yeah.
The fence that's below, is that the same wood, it's just aged?
Yes, sir, that's been up 1 year. I replaced everything that I had. I used to have a spruce fence. I replaced everything with pressure treated, 5/8 saw wood, and 2x4 all pressure treated. That's everything. It's the exact same fence. It's just aged,
Okay.
which I plan to stain this year. And see what the finished side is fixed in the neighbors.
Okay. Anyone else to speak against? Just the letter, that's all we have. If there's no other questions, if someone would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance 2022-0014-BZA as requested by the applicant.
Second?
Got it? Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Rachel, if you would call the roll, please.
Okay, Ken?
Yes.
Dave Lindros?
Yes.
Dave Nzera?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. The fence is already up. To expedite things, if someone would like to make a motion to journalize this decision, we can kind of put it to bed. Journalizing what it does, normally, if you approve a variance, it does not come into effect until the minutes are approved at the following month's meeting. And by doing it this way, it's approved immediately. Okay. So we're asking to journalize this decision for you.
I'll make a motion to journalize BZA-0014.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Rachel?
Dave Lindros?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Dave Nzera?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next. Rachel, if you could read 2022 BZA 15.
Okay, applicant DJW Properties LLC submitted a conditional use application for property located at 1936 Menor Avenue. The request is for an automatic car wash facilities.
Okay, I'm going to ask for someone to speak in favor of the request.
Kurt Nielsen, Classic Clean Auto Wash, also part of the Classic Auto Group in Menor.
I'm pulling it up for you now.
It's all right.
Do you want the BZA presentation?
No, it should be on there. The one that says the Painesville Township one, folder says Painesville Township.
Oh, gotcha.
everyone see that with the lighting? If you're in the back and you can't see, if you want to slide up closer, you're more than welcome.
Got it. You guys can see.
Go up to the first page, should be the site, there, all right. Zoom out. All right, perfect. All right, thank you. All right, we're proposing to build a 100-foot-long tunnel car wash right there on Menor Avenue. There's basically a single tunnel, and as you can see up on the site plan, we have one main entrance in and out, basically coming off of Menor Avenue. Then as you come in, basically you turn into the site, and as you see off to the right-hand side, you turn in is where the stacking starts to get into the pay station lanes. So as you can see, as you come in, come down and around, basically kind of head north back on the property and then get into the 3 lanes. This will have 3 pay stations on this property. And then from there, as the person basically pays, or if they have the RFID reader for the monthly subscription, the gate will go up, and they're basically did it so one car can only go at a time, and then from there they get queued into the car wash tunnel itself. This basically 140-foot long tunnel will allow basically between 3 to 4 cars to be in the tunnel at the time. And then from there, as they'll come out the north end of the tunnel, and they have the option then to either go down and use the free vacuums along the west property line, or if they do not want to use those, they can continue out back to Menor Avenue, or also too, if we get everything basically through, been working with the existing patient, you have the
Jack, what is that?
If somebody wants to turn off microphone, it'll go.
We've got a sound company coming to fix that, but right now it's interacting with the fire department's radio systems.
Okay. All right, or basically we're trying to have the access to go behind the existing storage facility and out to the side streets where they'd be able to go out that way as well.
That's the drive coming, like at
That's
7 o'clock?
Correct. And then that was as we are aware of when the storage facility was presented to the township and saying that there was to have basically a cross easement to allow access for future development of obviously this property to be able to go back behind there.
Have you already talked to them about that?
Yeah.
You can turn your mic off, I think you can hear it. Just push the button.
Yeah, basically classic in contact, the adjacent property owner. So at the time, I know they have not come to a final thing, but as I said, we are aware from the original presentation that we had to the, that have provided that. So that is the overall site plan, and then if you want to jump to the exterior elevations, that's a rendering of the building. That is basically a proposed rendering of the building. So we work back and forth with the township on basically the looks, the colors, materials of the building, so we basically match those to the surrounding facility. As you can see, also we'll have stone on the base of the building and on all the columns. And then the rest of the building itself will have a composite metal panel, which will be a terracotta color, and then also be a gray color as well. And then from there, you can see that there's the exterior, basically the next sheets there. You can see the north and south proposed elevations of the car wash, also the vacuum canopy looks like, and then into the east and west exterior elevations as well. Want to point out as well, we can kind of see in that in the west elevation there, up towards the kind of front tower feature, the little room is right behind that houses the vacuum for the vacuum canopy.
You can go up there and point to that if you want, so people can see it.
So this space right in here, this house is the main vacuum system for the vacuum canopy. So that will keep all the noise from the vacuum system inside the building. Also, one thing too with the vacuums out here, the vacuums are only accessible to anybody, the customer free of charge from when the car wash is open, which is up to 7 days a week from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. The vacuums will be shut off obviously prior to that in the morning, and then obviously be shut off all at nighttime as well. So they will not be on during any of the kind of quiet time of the township requirements. So overall, quick brief of the car wash.
And how many stacking
Yeah.
spaces are there?
I think the final plan on that, if I'm wrong, I can't remember the exact thing, we'll have to look at it. I think it was about, I think it was 40 vehicles that are stacked in there. Yeah, with having the property being as large as it is, that we had plenty of room to be able to come in off of Menor Avenue and start stacking and queuing up, that would basically based upon this, there would never be any reason that cars would ever spill onto Menor Avenue at all.
Just, I know it's far-fetched, but just in case that would happen,
If for some reason that would happen.
Just close it?
Yeah, all the classic clean auto washes are all, basically, there are tenants on site at all the time. There's between 3 and 4 tenants, so obviously for some reason, if we got to that point, they would have to go out to the cone.
Temporarily
Close out,
close.
so, but we have to proceed based upon the location, current location manager on 615 and Project Court. They've never had any problem over there. We actually just opened up on Saturday morning, one out there, not Green Road right now. So based upon those, we'll forever foresee of having that. Basically, with having the tunnel, car wash tunnel, the conveyor system, we're putting basically 3 to 4 cars on that basically conveyor at a time going through. It's the turnaround to get the cars in and out. Things move fairly quickly.
So do you have somebody in front directing the car into the,
Yeah, so basically what we have is here's things in the site plan. But as the pay station's here, there's a little office here, there's always an attendant or 2 in here at any given time. So as customers pull up to the pay stations, there's an employee there to go out there to assist them if they need help. Well, basically with paying, there's an issue with, like I said, we have the monthly subscription packages, so there's an issue with their card reader or other issue with their credit card, we'll have to help there. Once they pass through that, so they kind of get queued up, there's a person who's standing right at the tunnel entrance, that basically gets them lined up onto the conveyor. Also, too, the car comes in and they have a lot of plugs on the front, those sprays and plugs that are on it, and also they pressure wash in the front as well before they get on the tunnel. So then they go on that, and then actually, too, once they come out of the end of the tunnel, there's 1 or 2 employees that will be there to do any final drawing off the vehicle as well and turn the mirrors of the car out.
will you offer detailing there or no?
No, there's not anything detailing at all.
So you could expect to have about 45 cars in there, is that?
Yeah, I think it was at least 40. I can't remember offhand what the final amount was.
Probably counts 43.
I remember reading 42 or 42.
You know, it was at least 40 cars.
I'm just thinking about like how that car wash
It's
is.
53 in this rendering.
Okay, then that would be, that one's accurate.
Well, they're only probably 25 cars in that, that's why they're always shutting down.
On Zappy's? Yeah, Zappy's actually, she has less than that. Zappy's only has 1 pay station as well. So, right at that time, with having the 3 pay stations, allows the transactions to be figured, only having 1, you figure that somebody happens to get backed up with having issues with a credit card or cash payment, that starts backing up this line. This with having the thing, as it keeps it moving, and also back to with having the RFID readers on it, so the subscriptions, because obviously with all the classic auto washes, you have a subscription, you can go in and auto wash, so it helps as well with through quicker than just it'll read the tag, and then as long as there's not through, so.
This isn't your first rodeo with these?
No.
They work, okay.
No, so we got the region go open up the one in Menor, just opened up the one out in Madison, across from Walmart and Green Road on Saturday morning. So now we're working on this, and we've also been working on one in Concord Township as well.
When you said the vacuum mechanism is in the main building,
That's
and those, so is there like underground vacuum tubes? How does,
basically what ends up happening is, coming out of the vacuum room right here, there's this underground piping that comes, basically one main pipe that comes from here over to the canopy, and then from there is kind of a system of piping that goes up, and then the hoses come up the back of the thing every so often, basically almost at each, basically one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, basically drop down and get the 2 hoses on.
can you describe just in general the lighting, how the lighting will be set up?
Yeah, so the lighting, underneath the vacuum canopy, that there's basically lights tucked basically way up in there, so you won't even see those. Same with the pay station canopy, and then obviously throughout around the site as well, basically be site lighting poles. And there's also some Walmart lights on the building as well. So obviously everything keeps it so there will be no spill of lighting onto the adjacent property. And as you can see too, it's out basically coming up the north property line, of how far back that the car wash is sitting. As you figure, here's the property line back here, here's the light pole, so at that point too, nothing's really projecting back this way as well. And obviously going to the east, same thing, we got the lights coming this way, nothing lighting up through there. And then obviously on the, down on the west property line, basically everything keeps it so it stays on the property itself.
How many
Dave,
feet
Dave,
is that
there's a-
from the drive to the back line?
There is a lighting thing in that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, up here. So you can see here from basically the back of the building, to there. Basically, just under 196 feet there. And then obviously from the road here, so basically kind of looking where it'd be, basically where any of the light poles would be, basically just a little over 154 feet. So there's a very large distance from basically the back of the whole car wash to the north property line. Then obviously too, we've done the landscape, so we have across the whole north property line, against the residential, so obviously going all the way through the north property line here, and even coming down around the corner here, that is all, has landscaping as well, to basically screen. And actually, I think the landscaping plan is in there.
Yes.
In there as well. Yeah. Yeah. And we have, between 5, 6 foot high arborvitae across the whole entire area.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are the giant arborvitae that you guys are planting.
Correct.
That stormwater drain, will that have water in it, continually, or no?
It might have a tiny little bit into it, but most part it should not.
So it's not gonna be a danger to anybody?
No.
going near there?
So that can be right behind our property, ours is the one with the pool.
Mhm.
That's gonna be a retention pond there?
Yeah, it's basically, the way that it's set up is for any time that there's any basically heavy rainstorms, the water will come in there and it'll slowly drip out of there and basically into the main system, so that on a normal basis, there will not be water sitting there. Basically, this pond should be basically very similar setup as behind the storage facility as well. Go behind there and that's.
Which has water in it?
Does that have water?
Yes, it does.
How much?
Is that the final?
It's the size of probably an 18-foot pool.
How deep?
Well, I don't know, I didn't walk over it.
I'm not gonna go into it, but I mean,
But is that
it's
the-
probably 3-4 feet deep.
It's by the road, not Menor Avenue, what is that road over there?
We're not, unfortunately, we're not dealing with that property. We're assuming that these guys are gonna take care of that. Okay, I just wanted to ask that question. But those are all the arborvitae back on the back lot line there.
That's correct, yeah. Maybe must go down.
What's the rest of that gonna be?
Well, our trees are, we have been there for 23 years, our trees have basically kind of encroached. They're 23 years old.
Those will stay, obviously, we're gonna put in front of all that.
Well, I understand, but are we gonna be able to go back there at all? Are you gonna put the trees right against our trees?
They'd be obviously off a bit, obviously, the trees are gonna be on Classic's property. They'll be definitely off the property line.
Huh?
Yeah, and just so we're clear, this is something that we've required of them. As a commercial property, they're required to provide year-round vertical screening of the evergreens, so this is something that we've required them to do. And they will be located on their property, but they cannot rely on your vegetative screening as their own, which we've instructed them of. So if you were to ever choose to cut down your tree, then that screening would no longer be in existence. So this is something that they have to do to meet zoning requirement.
The rest of the property, they're inside the arborvitae to the actual
Yeah, but that would all be grassed.
grass?
Everything would be grass, obviously be kept up with all the time. It would not be left as a field and it would basically be cut all the
Okay.
time with the rest of it.
So you got a lot of green space there?
Yes, we do.
Mr. Hill? Can I
Yes.
ask a question real quick?
Sure.
What's the possibility of doing like an earthen mound and putting the arborvitae on that, going around the back to act as maybe more of a buffer from 45 cars sitting there idling during bad weather? I mean, we all know how car washes are in the winter here in Painesville.
But you're 200 feet away from there, from the lot line to where the cars are gonna be, aren't you? Or from the,
Correct, and back to the site.
I have 60 feet in my backyard from my house.
the runway. There you go.
Yeah, basically from this point here, you're from, basically from our property line to the nearest pavement, but 154 feet.
154, okay.
I was just saying, if you're gonna be digging a detention basin, why not, instead of stripping the dirt out, put the mound there? I mean, I'm just asking.
I mean, another question is, why do you need another car wash? We've had so many within a 5
Ma'am,
mile
that's
radius.
that's not relevant to what we're talking about right here. I understand what you're saying, but we can't question why he wants to do it. It's a permitted use in the area, so that's what we're looking at. Just, what will you charge for a car wash there?
They have obviously the different, you can either go in and pay basically by wash, where they have the monthly packages. I think basically the general, if you just want to go and pay per wash, I think the lowest is $8. I think the highest is $16 or $18. And then they obviously have next thing to do the monthly subscriptions, which is, that's what most people have. And those are, I think the lowest package is $20 a month, and then I think the highest is $32 a month, and those are unlimited wash. You could literally take your car every single day and wash it if you want. There's nothing that's stops that.
Is that like the other classic on Tyler where it was kind of like the rubber type?
Yes, yeah, this is the equipment in this one is exactly the same one that's there at 615 in Rocky Court.
Okay.
And this is exactly the same one that we just opened up on Saturday out in Madison.
Okay.
I guess my question, what these people are asking about, you're gonna have to excavate some dirt out of where your retention basin is. Is that something you might want, I mean, we're not gonna, we can't require that from you.
Essentially, look at it and discuss it.
Okay. So that's, I can understand, put a little mound there, but instead of hauling it away, it might be cheaper, I don't know. But that's something that if you want to just look at. I don't think we're going to make it part of the conditional use, but it would be nice if it's something.
Yeah, it could also potentially negatively affect their stormwater management.
It
plan.
could, yes. There's a lot of water issues there that,
Yeah, 'cause we gotta make sure we don't start, and that does bring up a good point, because we do put a mound in the back. Any water coming over the north side of that mound has to be drained somewhere, and then obviously we definitely, we're not allowed to drain water into adjacent
Yeah.
properties, so.
you understand what he's saying? You cannot have runoff from his property onto yours, and if they put a mound there in a heavy rain, if it comes your way, they're liable.
There's, on his proposed site, there is a main culvert that basically runs along the property line through our yard, because there's an easement on it. So I mean, any runoff.
Is it a swale or a culvert?
No,
There's
there's,
a culvert, really.
there's down over in this area here, so, but obviously still, we'd have to get all the water from up, basically the northeast corner of the property, would have to be somehow still get all funneled down.
It's running through my yard.
Yeah, and their stormwater management plan's already been approved.
Right.
Oh, it has been, okay.
Yes.
So I mean, that really wouldn't be an issue if you put it right up against the property line.
Well, it would be if stormwater management says you can't do it. Their thing's already been approved. Just
Yeah.
think about
Take a look at it.
that. Okay. Okay. Anything else? All right, anyone else to speak in favor? Before we speak, anyone to speak against, I'm going to ask our zoning inspector. We were given something today by David and Michelle Nuff, who did a very thorough job of investigating this. But I want to have our zoning inspector explain where we are with that, if you could, please. Explain what they're at, what their concern was and what the situation is.
So the items that were listed, and they were numbered in the letter, I'm just going to address as we go for the items where
Are they
my
here by
input
any
might
chance?
make a difference. I don't believe so. So the first item was a question of zoning authority. According to our zoning map, the property is zoned B1. The property, as well as 16 or 17 other parcels, were recently rezoned to B2. So this map doesn't have the most updated zoning zoning designation on it. And in our B2 district, a car wash is a conditionally permitted use. Another concern that was raised was excessive noise. And they talked about our noise ordinance, which talks about noise disturbances between the hours of 11 PM and 7 AM. However, the car wash and vacuums will not be in operation during these hours, according to the applicant. Wastewater pollution, that opinion, we're not able to, or that opinion or concern we're not able to address. We rely on Soil and Water to do that, which they have reviewed this plan and approved it. So I would assume that if there was any potential for wastewater pollution, that would have been addressed with the county offices. Safety and security, there's a concern about a greater amount of vehicle and foot traffic in the residential area. For this is another opinion that we're unfortunately unable to address. Any other commercial business that moved into the spot would, I guess you could make the same argument. The air pollution, again, this is something that environmental health would address if there was an additional concern for car washes creating excess pollution that is in violation of any maybe EPA regulations. Proximity to other car washes, that's not something that, we can't regulate based on opinion as to how many of a certain business type is in the area. And then increased vehicle traffic on Menor Avenue. This one, with their stacking, we only require a minimum of 10 car stacking at automatic car wash establishments per section 12. With them providing 53, they've more than met that requirement. And hopefully we don't see an increase in vehicular traffic on Menor Avenue. There's been some pretty extensive discussion had by the zoning commission, the trustees, and now the BZA in regards to that and trying to curb that potential, but we just don't see it with the stacking that's being provided. And those would be the concerns listed in my comments to provide, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Just so everybody in the audience knows, this is a conditional use permit. We're going to have conditions like the hours and the lighting and things like that. And probably one of the conditions that we will apply is that if there at any time is unscrupulous people running from the car wash into neighbors' yards attacking their children, those kinds of things those will be addressed by our zoning inspector. Okay, so there are things that if it is a nuisance to neighbors,
Well,
that will be addressed.
That was the subdivision several years ago that there was 5 houses broken into.
Which subdivision?
The subdivision that's behind this car wash.
Well,
And there's
I
only
would,
one way in our street and one way out.
I would think that a vacant lot would be a lot more attractive for somebody breaking into a neighborhood than someplace where there's a business.
Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah, they were actually parked over by Taylor.
Yeah, but they're going through a field.
Will you have security cameras mounted outside?
Not of our house.
No, I'm speaking to the applicant.
Sorry.
So there'll be security cameras on the outside of the building. There's actually also 2 cameras and throughout the whole entire tunnel as well inside the building for purposes of claims of cars getting damaged. But the whole outside the building has cameras on it as well.
Okay. So it's almost like a fort going up that's going to protect you back there, I would think. All right, anyone else to speak against the proposal? Any other questions from the board? Someone like to make
I'd like to make a statement, not so much against, but another
Sir, were you
question.
sworn? I don't think you were sworn, were you?
I don't know.
Okay.
Would you like to be sworn in and speak?
No, I will, if you want.
Okay.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you swear that anything you testify today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, it will.
Okay, now you can go ahead.
Okay, one of my concerns, it goes back, you already talked about it though, is keeping noise pollution under control. Because that's an open lot, and any noise is gonna drift into our yards and our houses. And then also, I don't know if you realize it, but the great flood of 100 years or whatever, when they were working on the 20 out there, that water totally came across, it flooded some of the people's basements, ruined the whole basements, their finished basements. I personally didn't have a finished one, but I got water in my basement too. And that's another possibility, very much so, because you're not gonna have heavy shrubbery or bushes to help absorb that. But there, I know it was an extreme rainfall at that time. But the biggest problem there was they had the drains on Menor Avenue covered with steel plates because they didn't want any water getting into the drains that might be polluted from the road work. They came about, this started somewhere around 1 in the morning, the flooding, and it went quite a while. I was lucky, I got dirt where my shrubs are, it didn't come through it. It went between me and my neighbor's house, where we have a drain to catch from the gutters and stuff like that. It filled that up, and was that high above it, and that's what got into my house and the neighbor next to me.
Okay.
So there is a possibility of that happening. It costs a lot of our neighbors a lot of money.
And again, the applicant has done his due diligence and has gone to, we have to place our faith in the county soil and water people. And they have done a thorough study of this and approved the plan, so we're assuming they know what they're doing. I mean,
Well, did they take that in consideration when that happened?
oh,
Or do
I
they
hope
not
so.
even know about it?
I fully know about that because my dad lives back there. So. That's all, no, that's
Oh, he
what,
lives in our subdivision?
yeah, we up there on Boxwood Trail.
No.
Oh, that's up.
That's the next one over.
Yeah, but
Yes.
there's a lot of land between our
Need to give
road
his
and
name.
Oxford.
Boxwood Trail also had water on Tudor now.
Sir, for your record, you need your name for
William. Last name Brosokaz.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And then the other issue I have is the traffic on 20. Now, you supposedly have a stacking area where the cars could go in and line up, okay? There's no traffic light there, which I don't really want. None of us do, probably. But let me give you, for instance here, like Zappy's is. Now, if you're traveling east to west, you're on the right-hand side of 20. You could pull into them stacking lanes. If you're traveling from west to east, you gotta cross the road on the other side. And if there's enough traffic, and there's a lot of traffic on 20 now, and you've got your blinker light and you're waiting to try to get it across, you're gonna have the cars backed up to God knows how. You see how Zappy's is in the winter.
I think
That's a big concern of mine.
There is a turning lane
Now,
on
yeah,
Menor
they
Avenue.
added
There's a
that.
turning lane, so it wouldn't stop traffic from going.
It's a viable business on a state route. I mean, people have the right to turn in and out of a business, so.
Using Zappy's as a comparison, Zappy's is, I know everybody uses it everywhere we go, but obviously Zappy's is
To me, is a one-off, based upon the fact that they only have the one pay station. They don't have maybe 20 the most stacking, so
And
it's not.
a lot of times you go by there and they're closed, and they've done their diligence doing that. Okay, all right, sir, thank you.
I
Yes,
just
sir.
had one more question. Approximately how big is the retention pond going to be behind us, as far as width, length, and how deep is it going to be? Do you have an idea?
I don't get that information offhand. I know it's.
That's it right there, right?
That's
Over
correct.
at our football stadium?
Yeah, so the elevation goes from 680 to 676, so what is that? Is 4 feet deep? That's the lowest elevation line that's proposed is 676, and 680 being the highest. So that's a 4-foot drop.
So it's gonna just be a little bowl, it's not a big pond.
So maybe like 50 by 60 feet or something, right?
And overall, and
Yeah,
that pond
we're-
is designed based upon the 100-year rains and stuff, so if that, we do ever get one of those again, that will hold that without spilling over into adjacent properties.
I'm trying to find some,
I mean, it seems like, just saying, like, if there was just a field there, and you had the 100-year flood, you'd be more at risk than not having this here, because you've got a retention pond, you've got,
I swam in my backyard.
oh,
I had broken water, I swam in my backyard until they opened up.
You're talking, this is one back in like 2011?
2006.
Yeah.
2006, that's
Yeah,
when.
Summer 2006. Mike.
Yeah, that's when all the boats broke loose and went down the river.
Yeah, that was a mess at work.
And the guy from Pickle Bills that ended up in Geneva.
it was like 15 feet over Casement Golf Course, right by me.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, sir. If someone would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 2022-0015 DZA with the conditions of 1, having hours from 8 to 8, and 2, having the lighting per approved drawing. And can you guys think of any other conditions to put on
That would be
there?
7 days a week, 8 to 8.
7 days a week.
And I would say, just so the people know, in accordance with the zoning resolution for the township, if there's a business or a residence that is causing hardship to you, either by noise, air pollution, unscrupulous people coming through your yards, you come to the township office and they address that. Okay, and a conditional use permit can be revoked at any time. Normally doesn't happen, that's why we go through all this. These guys have done their homework. We're looking for a good neighbor here that has really done their homework. So just so you know that that is in place, that's what a conditional use permit is. And that, so, go ahead, Dave, I'm sorry.
And we'll do this for a 5-year term,
Okay. That's acceptable.
which is the max.
And the landscaping plan is provided in the packet.
Also with the landscaping plan provided and all the drawings provided.
Yeah, I would just say per the permit, per the submitted package.
Yeah, for submitted package.
Okay. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded, Rachel?
what, that was, okay, the hours, 8 AM to 8 PM.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and go over that again?
Hours, 8 AM to 8 PM, 7 days a week. What was the light? The
Lighting per approved drawings,
Lighting.
which we should actually just encompass all of it with per submitted drawings.
Yeah, so just all of the things like per the lighting plan, per the landscaping plan, instead encompass all of those in the statement per the drawing submitted in the package, the application package.
Yeah, that covers everything.
I'm sorry,
Per the drawings submitted. In the
submitted
application
in the
package.
Okay, per the drawing submitted in the application package, and then, for a 5-year term.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Enzera.
Seconded, yes, okay. Dave Lindros,
Yes.
Randy, who is not here, Ken,
Yes.
Dave Enzera,
Yes.
and Chairman.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Looking forward to having you as a neighbor.
Thank you.
Yeah, is this something you want to get started on real quick, or you got?
Basically, I have to get drawings done and then I'd have to receive all the approvals from Lake County and all the authorities. So,
We can journalize it, or you can wait 30 days.
wait 30 days to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Nice package.
Rachel, if you would
Yeah,
read
yes, they were
22
really
BZA
thorough.
16, please.
Kurt specifically.
Okay, applicant Joe Palasek filed a variance application for property located at 0 Newell Street. The request is to allow 3,300 square feet of grading work for a new dwelling to be completed within a required 75-foot riparian setback in violation of section 38.06A2, which requires that no soil within 75 feet of a watercourse draining 75 feet of a watercourse draining an area equal to or greater than 1 square mile and up to 20 square miles be disturbed. I feel like I read that wrong.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Okay. I find no error in our zoning inspector requiring a variance for this. So is there someone to speak in favor of the request? Go ahead. See if you can keep from getting the feedback.
Good evening. I'm Joan Francis, I'm a manager with Jeff Construction. I will be running this project for Mr. Kallencheck and Ms. Booth. I just wanted to note that 3,300 square foot is actually incorrect. That would be our, the amount that we would be within the 75-foot required setback off the road. But off the repairing zone itself, if you have the print of the site plan there, you can see the proposed house and the proposed outbuilding are not crossing over line into the repairing zone. In actuality, the amount of disturbance is on page 3 of 6, referencing. Page 3.
This is in the yellow?
Yes, correct. On that page 3, you can see that shaded area, and there's a note, the total area of disturbance within the repairing setback will be .043 acres. And that's actually 1,742 square feet, so not very.
Is that the
I
total?
apologize, that's my mistake.
That would be the total disturbance within the repairing zone, but the house and the building itself will not be positioned in this way. We're also well outside of the high water mark and the 100-year flood zone, which is 3, 4, and 6. We did have one variance passed already for building heights. We're pursuing this in order to continue to allow the client to build their dream home and continue their quality of life without building this house at this site. We were able to combine 2 lots also. The homeowner owns a lot immediately to the north. We were able to combine them in order to reposition this house. It took us several tries, but we finally got it outside of the variant zone and way away from the 100-year high water mark. The house itself is around a little over 15 foot above the lowest point in that nearby creek, so it's really high up.
Any questions for John Construction?
So when you say a disturbance within the riparian zone, for purposes of preparing the ground for building, what becomes, once the building is up, what happens to where you've disturbed the ground?
So that disturbance, what we're referencing there is that where you can see where that proposed house and outbuilding are close to the repairing edge.
Mhm.
We're gonna have dirt from when we excavate the foundation, so it goes over. We will do a rough grade dirt construction before the house goes up, and then we do a final grade. During that entire process, we are required by soil and water to have it paved and seeded. And then in addition to that, we have a silt sock, a water retention measure. So there's really 3 lines of defense in terms of keeping the soil down and the water from running off into that neighborhood. So, and we will, soil and water does gas videos during the construction process to make sure we're.
So they're on top of all this during this whole process?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could just add, the applicant has made a lot of revisions from the original proposal based on feedback by us as well as Soil and Water. I did check back with Steve Hauser and Chad Edgar with Soil and Water and Stormwater with this most recent revision, if they had any additional comments or concerns that they wanted the BZA to consider. And from Chad Edgar, I received, they have removed all of the proposed impacts to the 100-year floodplain. He said there's obviously some remaining impacts discussing this disturbance now, but other than that, he has no remaining comments on the latest revision. And from Steve Hauser, he does not. The readjustment of the proposed layout has helped to minimize impacts to the floodplain and riparian corridor. So.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor? Anyone to speak against the proposal? Would someone like to make a motion, please?
I'll make
Or
a-
Any questions, if anybody? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance as requested in 2022-0016-BZA.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded, Rachel?
All right, Dave Lindros?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Randy, who's not here, Dave Enzera?
Yes?
And Chairman?
Yes. You have your equipment there ready to go?
Not quite.
It's in the truck.
We're at day's notice, we're ready.
Okay, so you would like us to journalize this decision? All right, someone like to make a motion to journalize?
I'll make a motion to journalize 2022-0016 BZA.
I'll second.
Okay, Dave Lindros?
Yes.
Dave Enzera?
Yes?
Ken?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. Start your engines.
Yeah, good luck.
Got it. I'll get up on it.
Okay, at this time, we're going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to turn this over to my shadow, who has really helped me out since I was gone for a little bit. So, Mr.
This is
Enzera,
what you best is.
if you could go ahead with the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, so moving into looking at the approval of the minutes from our May 10th meeting. Just any questions? Are there any comments or edits to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, then I'll move that the minutes are approved as submitted. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Old business, what's 22004, Angela and Mary Izzy? Well, that's just still continued until we get through.
Until
Until we
September.
get through the summer.
Yeah,
Someone ought to go poke their nose over there tomorrow when it's 98 degrees.
Sean and I went over there, what was the, I thought I sent an email out to
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, it's
like
Yeah,
85
it
or
was 80-something, or actually, we could go over there tomorrow. Oh, yeah, not you, but we can go over and visit the pony.
Yeah, the heating, it's supposed to be
Yeah.
110 or
Mhm.
something tomorrow.
We
Okay.
have a level of trust now, him and I. He lets me pet him, he likes me.
Oh, good.
You bring
Yeah.
apples or something?
No,
That's good.
no, I kept because he kept running away from me, and I
You skittish, I remember that.
yeah, I get closer and closer to him in his corral, and I pretend I didn't want to pet him, and then eventually he let me. And I was like, that's
Yeah.
how you have to get. That's how you get him.
I forgot to respond to your email, but I think it's really good that you did that, because now we have that on record in case something were to come up in September.
Yeah, and we haven't received a complaint yet. Maybe we don't know what tomorrow will bring, but we'll see. So we're just making
Okay.
sure we keep monitoring that for them.
Is there any other new business that we know about? Being none, we'll adjourn. Next regular meeting is Tuesday, July 12th, and surprise, surprise, I should be here for that one as well.
2 in a row.
Crazy.
Yeah. And August.
In the summer.
Yeah, September, May, yeah, I don't know about that. So I do appreciate, Rachel, when you send out the announcement like the week before,
Yeah.
then we have a good idea. Everyone in this board is very good about getting back to you, saying they're gonna be here. Okay, and I would ask that, when did we find out Randy wasn't coming?
At 3 PM.
Okay, so that was too late to get hold of Mr. Lewis.
Yeah.
So if we do find out that someone's not gonna be there, get hold of Dale and let him know.
Yeah.
Appreciate it for him to be here.
Are
Okay.
we doing voting for adjournment?
Are we what?
We already, oh.
Voting for adjourn, or?
Adjournment.
Adjournment, thank you.
Well, yeah, someone want to make a motion to adjourn? I just kind of adjourned the meeting, maybe I overstepped.
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, so I
We're
came
fluid
prepared
on
this
that.
time.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Dave will second.
I'll second.
We had some
Oh,
things that went smoother than I expected them to tonight.
Me too. I had a